Hello, my friends. My name is Silas Crawford, and if you have an old toolbox, workbench, drawer, barn shelf, or machinist chest that has not been cleaned out in 30 years, there's something I want you to understand before one more rusty hammer goes into a scrap bucket. Age alone does not make a hammer valuable. A common claw hammer that is 50, 80, or even 100 years old can still be worth only a few dozen dollars. The money appears when age meets something much more specific: an important maker, a rare patent, an unusual mechanism, low production, a specialized professional form, a readable stamp, original finish, original handle, documentation, or proven history. Today, we are counting down 10 old hammers that can hide in toolboxes, garages, barns, basements, farm sheds, blacksmith shops, carpenter's chests, flea market boxes, estate lots, and family workshops. And I'm going to show you exactly what separates the common versions from the ones collectors care about. And stay with me to number 4. Because that is where a hammer with no famous maker stamped on it still reached $800 simply because the shape was so unusual that collectors fought over it. Before we get going, tell me where you are watching from and whether you inherited any old tools from your father or grandfather. Iowa, Pennsylvania, England, Australia, it does not matter. I read the comments, and old American tools travel farther than people think. One more thing before the countdown: do not clean anything yet. The rust may be ugly, but the marks under it may be the whole reason the hammer matters. And remember where these survive: a carpenter's chest, blacksmith shop, old machinist cabinet, farm auction box, basement bench, or flea market lot can preserve tools nobody has researched because hammers were built for work, and families rarely had a reason to throw them away. Quick favor, before we start turning these heads over: if you like learning how to identify valuable old tools before somebody sells them by weight, subscribe to the channel. Every week, we break down the makers, patents, odd mechanisms, and little details that separate ordinary workshop iron from pieces collectors chase. And the next rare one may already be sitting in your own toolbox. Now, let me give you the rule that keeps people from fooling themselves. Stanley, Cheney, Maydole, Plum, and other respected names made plenty of ordinary hammers. A maker's name by itself is not a winning lottery ticket. Common Stanley hammers can still appear around $20, $30, or $50, while rarer patented or promotional versions can bring more. The big jump comes from the exact version. That means the first place you look is not the rust. Look at the cheeks, the flat sides of the head, where maker's marks often hide beneath oxidation and decades of blows. Names worth a second look include Maydole, Cheney, Stanley Rule and Level, or Stanley Tool Company, later Stanley Plum, Heller Brothers, Vaughan, and smaller patented makers. Yerkes and Plum was also an important 19th century hammer and axe name, while Maydole and Cheney go back even earlier. Then look for Pate, patented PET. Pending, full dates, model numbers, city names, and anything from the 19th or early 20th century. After that, look for what feels wrong: nail holders, magazine systems, adjustable heads, movable handles, multiple claws, magnetic tack heads, graduated shafts, extremely long handles, strange nail pullers. Old tools were full of ideas that disappeared because they were too expensive, too specialized, or simply did not win the market. Those failures are often exactly what collectors want. There's another clue beginners miss: occupation. Antique tool collectors build collections around the trade a hammer served. So a carpenter's hammer, blacksmith hammer, file maker's hammer, cobbler's hammer, upholsterer's tack hammer, bill poster's hammer, jeweler's hammer, silversmith's hammer, stonemason's hammer, gold beater's hammer, and cooper's hammer can belong to a different collecting lane. That does not mean every specialized shape is valuable. It means you should identify the job before you compare prices. Check the handle too. An old handle that fits the head correctly, carries age consistent with the iron, and perhaps retains a maker's marking can be much more desirable than a modern replacement. But old-looking wood is not proof of originality. Compare wear where the wood enters the eye, the wedge, patina, proportions, and any shaping. Then compare measurements. Head length, face diameter, total length, and weight can separate one catalog variant from another. Those details become especially important when two patented tools look almost alike in photographs. Never trust one clue by itself either. Number 10 is David Maydole, especially early patent and adze hammers. Maydole is one of the fundamental names in American hammer history. David Maydole established his hammer works in Norwich, New York in 1845. The business remained tied to the Maydole family until 1939 and was later acquired by Mayhew. The important engineering story is the Aids Eye system developed to hold the head more securely to the handle and reduce the old problem of hammerheads loosening during use. If you find an old claw tinners or specialty hammer stamped D. Maydole, Norwich, New York, or carrying an early model number, stop and inspect it closely. But do not make the mistake of assuming every Maydole is expensive. An early Maydole patent claw hammer has been offered around $85, and a Maydole number 407 early type tinners hammer in unused condition reached $110 in a specialized auction in 2025. The stronger interest belongs to early forms, unusual sizes, first markings, low production variants, nearly unused pieces, and original handles. Check whether somebody has sanded or polished the cheeks, because aggressive cleaning can remove exactly the stamp you need to identify the version. Number 9 is the Henry Cheney nail holding hammer, one of the easiest oddities on this list to recognize once you know where to look. Henry Cheney received United States patent number 116,553 on July 4th, 1871, for a nail holding hammer. The idea was practical. Instead of holding a nail between your fingertips while starting the first blow, the hammer incorporated a system in the head designed to hold the nail for you. That means a real candidate should not look like a completely smooth conventional claw hammer. Look for the nail holding feature built into the head, then search the cheeks for H. Cheney, patent language, or related marks. But keep the value honest. Cheney nail holding examples today often live in the tens of dollars. One vintage example was offered around $50 in 2026, and a craft sale brought about $55 for a mixed lot of 3 Cheney and Maydole hammers with other items. The money belongs to early versions, rare markings, unusually clean condition, original parts, scarce variants, and documentation. If you see a plain old Cheney claw with no nail holder, do not call it the rare patent just because the maker name matches. Number 8 is John Adams Thayer's patent combination hammer from East Boston, Massachusetts. And this is where somebody cleaning out a workshop can easily mistake a collector piece for homemade junk. Thayer received United States patent number 35,715 on June 24th, 1862. This was not just a hammer, it was a combination tool. The long metal shaft could serve as a graduated rule. The tool incorporated a screwdriver element and claw, and both the handle and head were adjustable. Look for wording similar to Thayer's Pats. June 24, 1862. Then look at the construction: a long metal shaft, sliding or adjustable mechanism, movable handle, and a silhouette completely unlike a normal carpenter's hammer. A clean and complete example with good markings was sold by a specialized dealer for roughly $195, while another specialist has handled an example around $275. Completeness matters enormously. If one of the original components is missing, you are not simply missing a little accessory. You are missing part of the reason the tool is collectible. And this is a good place to repeat the rule. A modern multi-tool is not a Thayer from 1862. The patent date, mechanism, proportions, and construction all have to agree. Number 7 is the A.R. Robertson Patent Bill Posters hammer. These were not ordinary tack hammers. They were professional tools built for men hanging posters and advertisements high on walls and boards. Arthur R. Robertson received United States patent number 352,070 on November 2nd, 1886 for a magnetic tack hammer. The first thing to notice is the handle. It can be exceptionally long, sometimes built in sections with a small tack hammer head at the end. That length is not a clumsy repair. It was part of the job, allowing a bill poster to reach high while placing tacks. Look for AR, Robertson, Boston, or Massachusetts references, patent information, and original sectional construction. A specialized dealer described an exceptional example as rare and priced it around $295. Although less unusual examples can bring much less at auction, that distinction matters. Rare does not mean automatically expensive, and unusual does not mean priceless. The right combination of maker, patent, originality, completeness, and condition is what creates collector demand. A long handle by itself is not enough. Number 6 is one of the best pieces in this entire video for showing why mechanisms matter. The Kennedy magazine hammer, also called a self-feeding tack hammer. Charles S. L. Kennedy received United States patent 743,519 on November 10th, 1903, for a tack hammer. The idea was clever. Instead of carrying loose tack separately, the hammer incorporated a magazine and feeding system, making the tool look like part hammer and part mechanical dispenser. Search for Kennedy, Magazine Hammer Co., Utica, New York, and patent dates, then inspect the mechanism itself. A shell with the internal feeding parts gone is not equal to a complete working example. A beautifully preserved Kennedy Magazine Hammer was recorded as selling for $403 in 2011. A Magazine Hammer Company patent self-feeding hammer sold for $225 in a specialized auction in April 2026. Original finish, a functioning magazine, complete parts, and sharp markings can separate a superior example from one that is merely interesting. If you found one of these in a grandfather's toolbox, would you have recognized it as a patented hammer or assumed somebody had bolted a strange attachment onto a tack hammer? Tell me below, because that confusion is exactly why these tools still get overlooked. Number 5 is the George F. Voigt double claw hammer associated with the Double Claw Hammer Company of Brooklyn, New York. The Hammer Museum records Voigt's design from 1902, and the idea was simple enough to understand once you see it. Instead of one conventional claw geometry at the back, the hammer used 2 different claw arrangements, so nails of different lengths could be pulled without bending them as badly. Search for Double Claw Hammer Company, Brooklyn, patent references, and construction matching the original design. A patented Double Claw Hammer Company example sold for around $180 in a specialized auction in April 2026. Unmarked examples may exist, so shape matters, but never identify one from a strange claw alone. A broken conventional claw is not a Voigt, and an improvised nail puller is not a factory double claw. Number 4 is the rare triple claw carpenter's hammer, and this is the one I promised you earlier. Look at the rear of the head carefully. Instead of the familiar 2-prong claw, genuine examples were made with 3 claw elements in a deliberately unusual configuration. Do not confuse a broken, worn, welded, or repaired claw with a triple claw manufactured that way. In October 2025, Martin J. Donnelly Auction sold an unmarked rare triple claw carpenter's hammer for $800 after 45 bids. Collectors were paying for the extraordinary form and rarity. A tool can be unmarked and still matter when the design itself is scarce. Double claw, triple claw, and other patented claw arrangements form their own area of interest, but a weird-looking rear end is only your reason to research, not proof of value. Number 3 is the antique file maker's hammer, a specialized tool from the old hand process of manufacturing and cutting files. Do not take any old ball peen or asymmetrical forging hammer and call it a file maker's hammer. Some true examples use what collectors call a dog head profile with a strongly asymmetrical head and working face arranged for the trade. One specialized antique dog head file maker's hammer was described with a head weighing about 3 pounds, a head length of roughly 4 3/4 inches, and a circular face about 1 7/8 inches across. The angle and face geometry are part of the identification, and the tool can be confused with a blacksmith's dog head hammer or a cutler's hammer if somebody relies only on the silhouette. A rare small size file maker's hammer sold for $300 at Martin J. Donnelly Auctions in March 2026, while more ordinary examples can bring much less. Look for correct asymmetry, signs of old professional manufacture, where consistent with the occupation, maker's marks when present, and dimensions matching documented examples. Number 2 takes us back much earlier, the Joseph Richards patent hammer, or early bush hammer used in stonework. Now, Joseph Richards is associated with one of the earliest American patents for this type of stoneworking hammer, United States Patent 5010X, issued on February 20th, 1828. A bush hammer does not present a smooth striking face for nails. Instead, its working face or faces are built from multiple pyramidal or conical points designed to texture stone. Created as somebody opening an old mason's box that can look like a damaged serrated hammer, a brutal concrete tool, or a head somebody ruined. Brown Tool Auctions described an example as the earliest patented hammer, apparently unmarked, with a handle around 13 inches long that appeared original and gave it an auction estimate of $400 to $800. Notice the wording, that was an auction estimate, not a guaranteed sold price. And notice how originality matters. Do not grind those teeth clean, reface them, attack them with a wire wheel, or immediately replace the old handle. A modern stone hammer with toothed faces is not automatically a Joseph Richards early patent tool. Number one is not one brand. It is the rarest class hiding across this entire list. Patented and unusual claw hammer configurations whose mechanisms look nothing like a normal modern hammer. These are the failed ideas, short production inventions, and highly specialized solutions collectors remember precisely because the market did not keep making them. Triple claws, multiple claws, nail starting mechanisms, magazine systems, combination tools, adjustable heads, unusual nail pullers, magnetic tack arrangements, and other patented systems belong here. The $800 triple claw gives us the strongest documented sold example in this countdown. An early patent hammer has been estimated as high as $800. A Superior Kennedy magazine hammer has sold around $403. A rare filemaker's hammer brought $300. A Robertson dealer example was near $300. Thayer combination examples have lived around the $200 range alongside double claw, Madol, Cheney, and other specialist forms. A combination of rare patented pieces can put an otherwise rusty-looking toolbox into several $1,000s of collectible value. That is the point. The value comes from the correct rare variants working together, not from pretending every rusty hammer in the box is a treasure. Now let us make sure you know how to inspect the next hammer you find. Start with the cheeks and photograph them before cleaning. Look for every letter. Record partial stamps exactly as they appear. Search for PAT, patented PAT. Pending, dates, model numbers, city names, and company names. Then inspect the mechanics. Does it hold nails, feed tacks, slide, adjust, use multiple claws, have a magnetic head, carry graduations on a metal shaft, have a sectional or unusually long handle? Do not throw away any loose piece sitting beside it until you understand whether that piece belongs to the patent mechanism. Then identify the occupation. Carpenter, blacksmith, filemaker, cobbler, upholsterer, bill poster, jeweler, silversmith, stonemason, gold beater, cooper, and other trades all use specialized hammers. A strange industrial form can be valuable because it belongs to a narrow trade, but strange alone never means expensive. Compare the handle. Does the wear on the wood agree with the wear on the head? Does the fit at the eye look old and coherent? Is there a maker's mark? A head that is genuinely 19th century mounted yesterday on artificially aged wood does not become an untouched original. At the same time, do not declare any weathered handle original just because it looks old. A plain old claw hammer is not automatically a Cheney. A broken claw does not become a triple claw. A common tack hammer is not a Kennedy magazine hammer. A modern bush hammer is not automatically Joseph Richards. A modern multi-tool is not Thayer. A long-handled tack hammer is not automatically Robertson. And a dog-head blacksmith hammer should not be sold as a filemaker's hammer unless the profile and dimensions match the trade. Reproductions, decorative tools, replacement handles, and heads assembled from unrelated parts exist. Patent dates must make sense for the actual design. Manufacturer names must fit the period. A famous name added later does not turn an ordinary hammer into a rare variant, and no serious high-value authentication should rest on one photograph or one stamp. Surface rust can be far less serious than deep corrosion that has removed metal. Cracks, destroyed faces, broken claws, erased maker's marks, and incomplete patent mechanisms can cut interest dramatically. Do not restore before you identify. Do not sand inscriptions. Do not grind the head. And do not correct old mushrooming or deformation until you know whether that wear matters historically. Do not paint it. Do not polish it to a mirror. Do not replace the handle immediately. Do not throw away odd moving parts. Do not separate a patented attachment from the hammer. And above all, do not sell a box of old hammers by scrap weight before checking every head individually. There's one more kind of value that lives outside the industrial rarity we have been discussing: provenance. A perfectly ordinary type of hammer can become extraordinary if you can prove who used it and where. The extreme example is the geological hammer used by astronaut Alan Bean on the lunar surface during Apollo 12. In July 2026, that hammer sold for $812,500. The astronomical price did not come from the hammer design. It came from documented lunar use and extraordinary provenance. Another example is a war hammer used as a prop by Mel Gibson in Braveheart, which sold for £8,560. Again, the story, documentation, and association overwhelm the material value of the tool itself. Those are not part of our 10 toolbox hammers, and you should not use them to price an anonymous garage hammer. If an old tool comes with a name engraved on it, factory tag, military papers, railroad provenance, expedition documents, photographs, original invoice, film documentation, or any verifiable history, never throw that paperwork away. Photograph it before cleaning. Photograph both cheeks, every inscription, the top and underside of the head, the claw, peen, face, or mechanism, and the entire handle. Measure overall length and head length. Measure the face when relevant. Weigh it if you can. Write down every visible letter, including partial ones, then research the exact marking and quotation marks with words such as hammer, patent, sold, auction, and tool collector. Compare the construction with original patent drawings and documentation. Search specialist antique tool dealers and auction houses dedicated to tools. And if the piece is truly unusual, get an experienced tool specialist to look at it before you restore or sell. When checking money, separate asking price from dealer price, auction estimate, and actual sold or hammer price. A $500 listing proves only what somebody hopes to receive. A dealer price shows a specialist retail position. An auction estimate is a pre-sale expectation. A sold or hammer price tells you what competition actually produced. In specialized auctions during 2026, unusual hammers often sold around $60, $90, $180, $200, or $300, while that rare triple claw reached $800. But the right patents, mechanisms, occupations, makers, original parts, and provenance can turn a box that looks like rusty workshop leftovers into a collection worth thousands. So tonight, check the toolbox from your father or grandfather, the barn, basement, garage, farm shed, old blacksmith shop, carpenter's chest, machinist chest, or boxes bought at an estate sale, farm auction, flea market, or yard sale. Turn every head sideways and read every cheek. Look twice at anything mechanical or strange. Which one would you most want to find? The Kennedy magazine hammer, the Thayer combination tool, the triple claw, or that early bush hammer? Tell me below. The valuable part may not be the hammer that looks oldest. It may be the one that looks so odd, nobody ever bothered to ask what it was.